So it seems from what you're both saying there that there's that while the operationally things have had to be moved quite quickly and readjusted to, it's not as though that there's a widespread panic or crisis mode. Things are pretty much running on, and in fact, people seem to be adapting quite well and rising to the challenge of new opportunities that might actually arise from this.
Yeah, no, Jason, that would be a fair point. We're looking at what's critical, working with each other, working with our funders and partners to make sure that everybody understands what contingencies we can and have put in place, where we can't, how we're going to adapt and utilize maybe banked data, longer term data, etc., to keep the research flowing. The one thing that I've been doing today actually is also where our skill sets not only can help address challenges within our sector and what we're doing, but actually we've been mapping out where our science can help with the crisis directly. So providing, if it's providing PPE that we're no longer going to use to the NHS, our laboratory skills, our quality assurance and control that we've got that we mightn't be utilising for these frontline experiments for the next few weeks, months, whatever it may be. But actually those skill sets are there for use in the NHS, and we've had an outstanding response from staff within SRUC, and I know across the sector that have been part of that voluntary force that have been called on.
That's very interesting. Michael, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I agree totally with Eileen. This has really shown how science can add to so many areas, particularly in terms of support mechanisms, looking at how we use our science to address issues that we wouldn't think were around previously, particularly in terms of resources that we have within the community. But also the fact that we're changing the way that we do our science. There has been a rise in the amount of VC communication, type of media like this, but science works best with very, very low boundaries, no boundaries, interconnections across globally and across sectors. And something like this has really shown that to the fore, that we need to interconnect. We're not just one community, we're integrated community. And that's really important. And I think BSAS and animal science generally is really at the fore of this, to connect to these groups, but also supporting the farming community. There's been major challenges, particularly in terms of social isolation, with that farmers have felt. Something like this, I think, really, really brings it home to everybody, what that community must be feeling, particularly when there seems to be some demonization of food production, which at times, particularly like this, seems crazy, and how isolated it can be to be a farmer or within rural communities. And I think this opportunity for everybody to reflect and also then support and offer that hand of friendship, and connect and use opportunities like this to make friends and also discuss areas. So I think it's really important for the society and us all to use this opportunity to connect, discuss, and be there to support.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the human element of this is obviously key too, and there must be concerns amongst the sector over finance. Is there anything you can say that might give them some insight or advice on finance and how to safeguard their own position?
So, well, from an academic point of view, which is what we're facing down, again, it's about how do we keep research going where we can, and understanding the risks of where we can't and how to mitigate them. So we're doing that. We're in a position where the UK government has come out, and all the devolved governments as well has come out saying, we understand, we're working with you to help you through this. They themselves are dealing with the challenge as well. So a lot of particularly from the research community, they understand, and also from an education side of things, we're all working to keep things going in a way that keeps people calm together, and so the money does at least largely keep flowing. Where it'd be harder might be for some of the smaller companies, maybe players in the supply chain that are reliant on that sort of free movement happening. That may be restricting the demand. You may think of maybe nutritionists not being able to go up to the farm track to speak to farmers because of maintaining social distancing and things like that. And for them, I'm guessing it's going to be harder. And we, as Micheal has said, there is a need to help them see where there's innovative solutions such as this, to having the conversation with farmers and understanding things. You know, I know examples in Scotland where the postal service and courier services are helping collect silage samples so that the advice to nutritionists is still happening. And that might be just a local side of thing, particularly where we've got a farming workforce that is older in demographic and more at risk. But there are solutions happening. We're really in the early stages, and there's so much. And that's why having something like BSAS working across the whole range of it, there is a resource to share that intelligence as we come up with solutions for this problem. And it's, you know, this might be just the start of these types of discussions.